So it's Christmas time, and I think that I started making videos about this time last year. I had moved here from Kentucky in the very, very end of October. I got here pretty much moved into my apartment and started my job on the 1st of November. And so it's been a year, and it's nice here. Uh, it snowed. We have snow. There's 4 seasons. I really like Salt Lake City. It's true that I don't get out and do a whole lot, but I like it here. Anyway, uh, that doesn't really have anything to do with anything. Well, it does actually in other ways. So because it's the holidays, because it's Christmas time, I will say that for a long time I have not enjoyed the holidays at all. I used to love it, and then life happened. It got really stressful. I started hating. But this year I've been not so much into like Christmas Day. I don't really care about that, but as much as just the season has been nice. It's because it snows, and I think maybe just the difference. It's different, we like, oh, hold on. Everything's different. Like the crappy music they usually, even though they play at work, is replaced by Christmas music, which honestly, I could try to be like the cool kid and be like, I hate Christmas music and stuff, but I don't. And at least we don't have to hear the crappy pop, commercial pop that gets broadcast through every single retail, everywhere. It's the same music. I've noticed everywhere you go, you hear the same like pop. Anyway, but so because it's Christmas time, I was thinking about my family, and I got anyway because it's Christmas. Thinking about my family, and I tried my best to get them something this year, even though I have really what I want to talk about is this. So, I had what happened to me happen to me. I'm just going to talk the way that I want to, because not really very many people watch this, even though that I know that they're a couple. So, um, whatever. I was thinking about how I went on a journey. I went on like a search of esoteric knowledge, or I wanted to know the truth, right? That's the whole basis for all of this. And I really, 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 really wanted to know. And a lot of other stuff happened, but I saw it. And so I do know that there are certain things that are true that you hear about, like seek and ye shall find. Not that honestly, so I can't say like, I know the truth now. It's not like that. It's, it's a journey, which what I really want to talk about is that, actually I don't really want to talk about it. I just want to say this. That it's really interesting so what happened to me is just like really out of the ordinary, and it's just not common. And I know that. And when it first happened, when I saw the truth and I got answered in this very powerful, profound way, as it turns out, to try to make a very long story a little bit short, I don't know if I can, like, I thought I wanted to know the truth, and I wanted to be changed and healed and become like a whole person and stuff, which I think that's actually a good thing to want. I'm not trying to, and I wanted to become a whole person. I did. Like, I really did want to become whole. And I wanted to be changed. And so all this stuff happened that has changed me. It's been 5 years, pretty much, and 6 years since I had this experience, like at the very end of 2012, which was like this thing that happened. That anyway, that's for something else. But it was kind of the beginning. It was like a thing. I had a golden light. It was a weird, trippy experience, and it was really, really, really cool. Anyway, but so all this stuff happened to me. I acted crazy. I did a bunch of really humiliating things, and I actually the quote is in my car, but the quote goes, you will be hurt, broken, defeated, and humiliated in the course of a life of faith. And that's not even, that person who said that isn't like a Christian. It was in a different place I was reading, which is what I always think is so interesting, and that I can find stuff. Growing up in the Christian Western world, that's what my like programming gave me about God and stuff, which it's not completely wrong and it's not right. It's a lot. It gets you to seek. I mean, anyway, because I could say so many things. I think, like I always say, like I'm a little lonely. I really wish I had someone to talk to tonight, which I don't usually do. Anyway, but all this stuff happened to me, and I know someone who I'm related to, who is a very smart person, and we were really close. And all this stuff happened, and I mean, I acted like a crazy person. I alienated people. But the thing that's interesting to me is that um, it seems as though people who, sometimes there can be people who are like seekers themselves, maybe, and they think that they know, and they think outside the box, and like they're not fooled by the system kind of people. They think that, but then when something happens, like say what happened to me is what I'm talking about. They are the first ones to accept the like system's answer to it. So the system's answer to what happened to me was like mentally ill, psychotic break. And I get that. I totally get why. I get that. I'm not like, oh, how could they think that? I understand. What I think is interesting is that the people who will say, there's a bunch of different people actually in my life, or whatever, who will say like, no, I believe in this, and this is, I believe in Jesus, say. And so if you believe in Jesus, if you believe in the Bible, which is not my big thing, but it doesn't mean that I don't think that book has a ton of wisdom, and because I do, and truth, because I do. But then, so Jesus did extraordinary, like, just crazy stuff, like raising people from the dead. And I mean, if you believe in that story, then you believe in really out there stuff. But so really out there stuff happens to someone, and everyone just accepts, or well, it seems to me, the like, well, this is what it is. Obviously, nobody, she's there. Do you know what I'm saying? Probably you don't, and that's fine. I'm not really going to talk very long on this video, but it is Christmas time, and I like it. I'm nuts. Sorry. I haven't liked it for a long time, so it's kind of cool to like it. And I'm working through. I'm making this video because I wanted to talk out loud about some things that I think about a lot. And one of the things I wanted to write down a little while ago, but I didn't. I wrote a lot of stuff down. Was that I was thinking that, like, my whole life is a conversation with God now, and I wish so much that I could share what that is and what that means with someone. But also, I'm, I guess I'm okay with not being able to. So anyway, maybe I'm not. Maybe I don't know. That's all I wanted to talk about. That people who claim to believe in extraordinary things, but will maybe they haven't ever really thought about what that means, like what it really actually really, really, really means. I'm reading a lot about, I read all, like I've said before on my videos, I read all kinds of stuff, and I pick through things. I don't read anything and think this is it. I read things and think, wow, that's interesting. And then there's other stuff where I'm like, well, that's just whatever. I don't at all believe that. But so like one of the problems that we have is societally, maybe in Western culture, I don't know, is that we are, it seems like we might be kind of trained to be like one false thing out. And that keeps you from seeing there's truth and lies and a lot of stuff. And so anyway, I've been reading about the Matrix, right? Which is interesting. And it's super interesting. So but you can't ever be like, okay, this is the thing then. That's where I maybe differ, or just to grab onto any one thing and say, this is it, this is the thing, other than maybe something as simple as just whatever, something so simple. But I can't be like, oh, it's a matrix, and where this is it, and I have to figure out the matrix, or oh, it's that Yaldabaoth created the archons and their, or anything like. You can't hold on to any one thing like story really, really intensely, because there's truth and lies in it. And I think I feel like I'm like super low at the bottom of the thing. There's truth and lies mixed into everything. And if you really want to know the truth, then you have to go on a journey, and you have to seek it for yourself and have things happen. And that's one thing. And I know I'm rambling, but that I've noticed, because it's been 5 years, well, more 6, because I started researching things before things happened. And I might have forgotten what I was saying. You have to so I've watched a lot of a handful of people for years on YouTube, and I see it's just, and I've talked about this before, but they start off with like one message and then it morphs. But anyway, what I mean is, I felt like a lot of those people that I would watch that had experiences, I could tell that they had been seeking and this thing was happening to them and they wanted to share it, but that they oftentimes fail to include you in the journey that they're talking about. Like, they just talk about their own thing, and they don't, or I've noticed some of them didn't say like, well, you will have this experience, like, and they kind of seemed like, okay, I had this experience, so now I'm going to tell everybody what it is. And that doesn't really work, although all the things kind of they work together like a tapestry, like is the famous metaphor. But the matrix, I was talking about that. I mean, yeah, like the illusion of our consumer lifestyle being the thing that's real is the matrix. Like, there's a lot, like, did you notice how like Brett Kavanaugh was like all the news talked about for a month. It was literally, and I've talked about this before too, but like my clock radio would turn on in the morning and it was Kavanaugh. I'm in Kavanaugh at lunch, and Kavanaugh, and then it's just done. It's over. He got confirmed. Nobody's talking about that anymore. There's the new thing that like is pushed into our brains as like, think about this. And David Attenborough, Richard, one of them, said this thing that's been talked about, but it was like still not the headline on CNN. It was like down here underneath a bunch of other stuff. Like, we're doomed, kind of, basically, like ecologically speaking. They keep calling it global warming. There's climate change, whatever. It's due to pollution. It's due to pollution and like us not taking care of things. It's not like this. Is it real? Is it not? Like, there is such a thing as an urban heat. This is an example of humans affecting climate, for people who think, oh, why is it even a debate? Like, it doesn't have to be like all the way over here, like global warming, and it's not over here. It's like, yeah, this is obvious. In cities, it's hotter. So I used to live in Dallas, and in the summer, it's so hot in Texas, and it would be like 10 degrees hotter in the city than it was even more than 10 degrees sometimes, than if you drove like 30 minutes outside of town into the country, because then it was country 30 minutes outside of town. So yeah, we can change the climate. We can make it hotter. It's been made hotter, but that's not the only problem. It's not just, there's so many problems that we're doing. It's unsustainable and nobody's talking about it. You get all this other bullshit. But anyway, my big reason for making this video was probably just, I felt like I needed to talk had a lot of stuff on my mind, and was thinking about that, how people can say one thing and be, and you know what? I was probably that person. I was the same. I was the person that I'm talking about now. I would have been like, that person's just crazy. She's nuts. Like, and so that's important to know. But being on the other side of it, you can see like you so readily, people so readily accept like the establishment's opinion. Crazy, psychotic. If you have a very intense supernatural experience with seeking God, to even talk about God in an intense supernatural way makes people think that you're nuts. So, but that's what the Bible says. The Bible is an intense supernatural story of God. So, and I'm not a Bible thumper. Like I said, there's a lot of things that I think are very interesting and true and real in that book. And then I don't think it's what people think it is. It's not my like guide to life. Although I get guidance out of it at times. Like I I don't, it's not the foundation of my experience. The foundation of my experience is the reality of it, my experience. So anyway, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and wherever you are, I hope things are good for you. Bye.